Hello and welcome to the Heart's Frontier. I'm Kate Graham, and it's so nice to have you here, whether you are new or whether you're returning. Take a moment right now and subscribe or like the video if you know that you're here and you're in it, and you just want to support me. And then that way you can settle in and you won't have to remember that at the end. And also, in case I forget to mention it at the end, then you know we've taken care of that. So this is going to be a longer video. I'm not sure how long I'm going to sit here, but I've got a jug of water. I have a stack of cards that were pre-pulled, which I don't actually do often. I don't really do the pre-pull thing. Normally I shuffle on camera because I'm pretty fast and it usually works better that way and feels more valid for us, right? But I do, I mean, I have a witness. I was with a friend, but I pulled cards for each of the 12 months out of the year. And hadn't decided to share it. I pulled them at the end of January. So really, or even into February, I felt like, so let me know, comment if you resonate with this, but I felt like this year, 2022, sort of went a false start. Like it sort of didn't feel like it started right on time for everyone. I found a lot of my clients were in sort of chaotic situations the first couple weeks of January, and then things sort of mellowed out for people. And then it sort of felt like as we started February that there was this sort of exciting New Year feeling. And so let me know if that resonates with you. But here I am doing our year ahead in February, so 1 month late. I try not to beat myself up about things like that because I really am doing a lot of different things. But I love being here on YouTube. And now that I am at this little ski chalet in Quebec, sort of snowed in and quiet, and I get lots of space to do my work. I've got a desk here. I'll definitely be doing more readings, more YouTube readings. I wanted to, before we get too into this, because again, we're going to be in it, we're going to be talking. This is a big stack. Like, this is 11 months. Um, I did want to mention that my business has changed a decent amount during this pandemic. And so now that we're in this year 2022, I wanted to just tell you, if you're not really aware, some of the things I'm getting up to with clients. So I have the Empath Energetics program. If you follow me, you've definitely seen something about the Empath Energetics program. Right now, we're closed, like I'm in a session with people, but I have been debating opening it up to a wider audience, to maybe an ongoing membership. That way, people could go in and out of the process depending on what they needed. Um, but also really that it would last longer for people, because 4 months of intensive work is great, but having the community that also understands similar work and is focused on similar things is really helpful. So Empath Energetics is a 4 month group healing, but really it's an individual healing path that all of us take in a group format. It's a group healing program that helps sensitive people really hone their gifts, understand more about the nature of energy and reality, and stop taking on other people's emotions. So this is a really, really powerful program for people wishing to step up in leadership or in energy work, or as an artist as well. Like, definitely a lot of sensitive people are very creative as well. I really like supporting people who have businesses or projects or big dreams. I really like those people, because I'm similar to you. That's the way I feel, that life has so much opportunity for us. I like to encourage people to live every dream out that they wish to. But also, I find a lot of sensitive leaders are more capable of creating a wider spread good. And so, when I think about how we can make our world a better place, for me, helping sensitive leaders step up so that they can help and nurture their communities in more full force and full energy is something that I'm honored to do, quite truly. So, um, Empath Energetics is something big that I'll let everyone know when I open it up again, that I'll be taking new applicants. And I will say, I don't only work with sensitive people. So if you're someone who you're like, I'm not really sensitive, I'm just kind of curious as to what you do, I do have a lot of other things that I like to offer. One of the things that I love doing with clients is shamanic journeying. So that's from my Celtic shamanic training so far, and I'm completing more of it. But I really have, I've really fallen in love with shamanic journeying for pure potency's sake, like for the pure power of it. It's really a unique and ancient practice. It's quite old, and so I feel very grounded when I do them. I use a drum usually, and so people are usually interested to watch drumming, and it's a very relaxing session for the receiver, and really good for anyone with that feeling of disconnect, like there's just something off in their spirit or in their energy, and they're looking for a way to reclaim some of it. Um, Energetic shifts are hard to describe if you've never done energy work, but you usually end up feeling lighter, less burdened, more connected to self. You usually feel a little bit more open, um, yeah, and energized, really. So, shamanic journeying, I do power animal retrieval and inner child soul retrieval. So, those are both really interesting, unique, unique practices that I like to share with people. And that's on the spiritual and energetic side. And I can explain to you both logically and from a spiritual place why I feel, this work is really important and interesting. But I end up teaching you a bit about it when we have a session. So, um, until then, let me know if that's sounding interesting to you at all. It has to do with trance-like states. And if you know anything about shamanic journeying, you might have a lot of preconceived notions about it, but we can talk about that later in the session as well. And then I also do love and connection readings. So if you're on my email list, you would have gotten an email that actually might have even led you to this video that let you know that you have a discount towards love and connection readings, because I do think we need a lot more of that in the winter. And so that's there. It's a 22% off. And if you're watching the YouTube video and you're like, Kate, I wasn't on your email list in time, but I'd really like that session. I could really use the coupon. Like, obviously, just reach out to me. I will help you out. I love doing love and connection readings and relationship readings. And yeah, there's other things on there too. You can go check it out. I'll put the links down below. As always, I just wanted to let you know some of the things that are a little bit different. So I'm trying not to do as many like one-off sessions with people, really diving deeper or doing the shamanic journeying. Yeah. So I almost started shuffling these, and I would have been so upset if I had shuffled these because these are all in order. It's got to remind myself. So I am going to start sharing each month now. We're going to get right into it. I've taken a few little notes, but not tons. Um, yeah, okay. So, what I did when I pulled these cards was my friend Sydney was over and she asked me to pull cards for the collective energies for the year 2022. And I was like, okay, buckle up. This is gonna be a big one because we've had a lot going on in our world. And there's only so much that I can speak to specifically because, again, this is a collective energy reading. So um, I may bring in sort of an individual perspective. So you're welcome to take this in and out. But I'm also attempting to read on a collective level. And just before we get started, too, I will share that I'm attempting to read the collective, but also the collective who will be tuning in here. So the perspectives that I share are from me and my lived experiences and from where I live in the world. I'm currently in Quebec, Canada, but normally I live in Ontario, Canada. So that shapes maybe things that I draw on or things that I feel may be coming out or are pertinent. Um, Also, collective energy is kind of draining, kind of exhausting. Oh, 12:12 on the clock, and it's 2:12:22. So lots of twos and ones right now, new beginnings. And that is actually, that's really what I was going to say, is I really do feel the collective energy right now as we head into February, as we're in February right now, is a time of gaining perspective. And that's, so this Milky Way card here comes up. It's a time for us to give perspective. Also, you know what? I'm going to mark in all of these months so that if you just want to skip to a month or if you want to come back to this reading later on in the year, you can. So this is February. I don't know how I'll just have to watch the video and find these chapters after. But anywho, so I do feel February is about us gaining perspective, and I also felt there's going to be a larger focus on service. So a lot of people have been, I do feel challenged by ego within this time, trying to decide where they fit in the world and perhaps what their expectations or goals should be of themselves. So we have High Priestess card. here, Dana, as well. Just going to share these as I talk because it's sort of ramble talking. But that says you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. So I do feel like this refocusing on service and being kind, and I do feel giving back is something that is going to come into focus later on this year, like June, July. But in February, we're sort of getting a taste of that. There's a lot of ways people are trying to give support, no matter what side of anything anyone is on. And I feel that February is giving us a bit of like January having that false start. February is like we can actually look at things a little bit more clearly, maybe remove the urgency or rushing. I really do feel January a lot of, and actually December as well. I felt a lot of urgency. A lot of people were really pressing things to happen in a certain time frame, and perhaps it was unrealistic. And so we sat right back down, or we're in a chaotic situation, made good decisions, but like January felt like a lot of cleanup, perhaps. So after that cleanup has been done, has been completed, then we're in February and we can actually see things a bit more clearly. We may not feel ready to act right yet. I think this is time more of receiving, like feeling what's next, and also trying to enjoy what is coming for you. I do think some like good luck came in January, and so whatever good news or good luck, or perhaps good ideas, inspiration, or clarity came through in January, we're really meant to receive and feel into that in February. Okay. Oh man. I'm feeling like okay. I'm feeling in February some people have really or will really feel challenged by feeling a lack of self-confidence based on past decisions. So there's something related to esteem and how you see yourself. Perhaps you're beating yourself up for decisions you made in the past that weren't in your own best interest. I also feel like it could just simply be about confidence and how you see yourself, and something about the way you saw yourself in the past just not being relevant, and so needing to face that. So it is about gaining perspective, and even on an individual level, it may be about self esteem, but on a collective level, we may be gaining perspective about larger ideas, and figuring out ways that we want to serve and give back. And that could be about teaching and sharing wisdom as well. So it could also be that you're finding a role of teaching that is coming up, or mentorship as well. I've been really feeling into the idea of mentorship a lot lately. Okay. And so we also have this feminine energy card, and I find it really fascinating that on top of it, we have this femme fatale card. The femme fatale card is about opening your heart when your dependency is rejected. And the shadow attributes are really interesting. So it says inappropriate use of sensuality and attachment to money and power. So I'm going to get into, I maybe should have prefaced this at the beginning as well, but I do not find it easy to talk about things in a predictive sense, for fear of like a call out or call up of, that didn't happen, or what have you. So as I try to explain this, please just be aware that my intuition and my psychic abilities in their strongest form are in clairsentience and claircognizance. So that's clear feeling and clear knowing. So when I feel into something, I'm feeling a lot of different feelings and then thinking, okay, this is something that's going to happen, or this is something that's true. But timelines are not, like, I find time to be a very arbitrary thing. Like, it's a very concocted thing. And it's not as easy to necessarily pin down. So, this feeling, even though I feel it's true, the specifics may shift a little. Yeah, also, it's just maybe a dangerous thing to speak about. So I think I'm giving a big preface only because I'm like, ugh, it's very icky. So anyway, getting into it. the feeling that I have is that we're in a time where there is going to be a feminine upheaval. And so, this femme fatale character really is the shadow side that a lot of us are going to be seeing. And I do feel like a veil or screen is going to be moved or lifted in such a way that, similar to these human rights movements, which have been popping up, which, I mean, okay, let's be honest, human rights movements are always happening uh, since there have been a lack of rights, which has been since ever. So, I mean, human rights movements, they'll still be happening, but I'm talking about these larger waves like the Me Too or the Black Lives Matter, of course. And well, I mean, we've seen lots. And I know in Canada on Turtle Island, um, very connected to the Indigenous rights as well, and all this activism happening. It for a lot of people, I think paying attention to these things, maybe that it feels like it's one after the other, and that's a really positive thing as far as us challenging the norm. And so, in this succession of what we're seeing and what we're addressing, maybe on larger scales and having larger conversations about, we've touched on like child celebrity um, assault, abuse, and I feel as though there is a crumbling of some of our governmental structures, not in a sense where we're going to see everything unravel, but I do feel, I mean, it's a lot of a heated time in Canada right now. And so I do feel this attachment to money and power. We're going to see like an increase and also perhaps a chaotic disruption. Um, and again, I'm not sure. I do feel that the UK being quite open, um, restrictions wise, right now, they are well positioned to speak up and or revolt against some misuse of power. And so, again, this could be taken vaguely. Um, I do feel it may have something to do with, here's what I feel. I feel it's definitely going to have something to do with children, definitely something not nice. So, I'm not looking forward to um, the exposition of whatever dark things have been happening. But trafficking is something that has been really, really kept quiet. Um, Throughout this time, it's been very quiet and it's also increased a ton. So something is obviously seriously wrong. And so trafficking, um, we've seen with the Epstein case, Maxwell, that there's a lot looking to be exposed. I do feel there may be a connection with the royal family that is much more loudly declared soon. So, anyways, when things like this get disrupted, it disrupts systems, and systems being linear, being masculine in force, we're experiencing like a chaotic feminine destruction or crumbling, which is actually really beneficial. But it's that kind of beneficial that comes with like nature and great forces of nature, like a naturally occurring forest fire, where it's like inferno and a whole bunch of stuff gets destroyed, but it's for the benefit of new growth, right? So it does feel like we might be having a bit of that chaotic feminine energy happening in February, and March as well. So sometime in February, March, this might be coming to light. Um, I also feel, I mean, just going on other energies, I know that's a really heavy one to just sort of bring in there, but I also feel there's going to be a good time for creative ideas, for birthing, potentially getting pregnant, but birthing new ideas, inspirations, and definitely new, definitely ones and twos. And it's 12:22. I just looked at the clock there. It's 12:22 on 2/1/2/22. So lots of ones and twos. That is the name of the game, um, in February. So what else do we have going on in February? I also wrote some notes because obviously when I first pulled these cards, I was talking about them with my friend, and so I wanted to um, you know, write some things that I did remember. It was very, very clear to me the two things that stuck out as really loud are um, the big, yeah, veil being lifted in February, maybe March, um, a reopening of hearts and community, more volunteerism, altruism in that June, July zone. And I'm feeling tons of abundance in November. So those are like the main overarching, just to give you sort of a glimpse of the year. I also feel in February we're going to be repeating patterns of the past. Okay, so here's what I have. We have storyteller, storyteller, and lion spirit. So definitely feminine rising. Um, and if January energy felt like you were like, you know, what what did you need? Yeah, if January was like, what did you need? February is like, what? Yeah, okay. January was all about what do you need, and February is all about what do you give. So it's like January, we were refocusing on service, but we're actually acting upon that in February and bringing that into more action. It's really like devotional energy. So, whatever cause and matters of the heart you are feeling devoted to, take action on them in February or at least receive them and get ready to take that action early in March. Yeah. Definitely feel public speaking might come up for some people too. Like there might be, um, well, okay, that I mean that seems obvious now looking at Canada because there's a lot of protesting happening. So obviously using your voice, however you feel called to use your voice, I feel that's really important this month. And just something to remember with polarity, I'm finding a lot of things to feel quite extreme for a lot of people or feel intense for a lot of people, and also there's a whole bunch of other people I speak to who are finding this to be a really calm time. So whether you're in the extreme of extreme or the extreme of calm, um, I really I want to encourage you to see your life as a story, um, to see this as one piece of a story, and to see your whole journey as an ongoing evolution, so that matters can feel either like you have a bit more energy for them or you're coming down from the expectations being so high. For whoever that was important to, then take that. I don't know where that came from. That was odd. But okay, storyteller. Ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. And the shadow attribute is making up tales that harm others. So be truthful. Be very, very truthful in February here because it's going to be really clear who is acting and speaking from a place of truth, and who is speaking and acting from a place of perhaps hmm, from control. I didn't want to use the word fear. I don't think that that's right. It doesn't make sense, but a sense of control. Uh, so be aware that your truth is your own to herald and support and shine outwards. And I'm finding the self-expression piece of this in February really key. So whether or not you're on a public forum or not, do your best to be expressing yourself really clearly, really truthfully in February, and take brave action in the way of that. And that, I mean, really, when we think about if it's like, I really hope sometimes predictions don't come true when they're dark like that. So, if we think about potentially some sort of trafficking or sacrificing or icky, no good business happening, um, I feel like one of the ways that we can get through times like that, because, okay, so let's be honest, right? Like these things exist. Terrible, atrocious things happen in the world all the time. And I know for me, when I think about children and being involved, it's really soul crushing, and disheartening to, I mean, at the very least, it's disheartening to think that people are capable of doing such terrible things, um, to such innocent beings. And at the same time, it's so representative of the pain that we already know is there, that there are wrongs happening in the world. And our experience as humans is really to be witness to them and to, like, we're all here for a reason. There's terrible things happening in the world just as much as there are beautiful things happening in the world. And so, a way that we can focus on them is shining light on the darkness. Um, so it is important for us to shine light where light doesn't exist. And um, yeah, perhaps through all dark times comes great art. And so perhaps there will be something important that, comes out of that, out of all that darkness in that time. Okay. Okay, lots of cards in this, which makes me feel like something's going on that's wrong. I'm going to pause and double check that I have the right cards for this month. Okay, great. Um, Also, I'm committed to like sitting here until we get through the year because I think it'll be easier and more important that I just do it that way. But I am going to have a great, yummy snack after this because it really feels like so much energy. I don't know. Let me know if you're someone who does collective energy reads. I definitely need to choose when to do them and make sure that I have days where, like today, there's a hot tub, or I can take a bath, or what have you. There's ways that I can take care of myself after. Okay, so let's get into March. This is March, 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 March. I'm doing this as a hopeful way that it'll catch my attention when I watch this again, but who knows if it will or not. So, March. All right, we have lotus flower unfoldment, childhood innocence. So, again, this is where some of that came from, this confirmation that I do feel there's something not cool that's going to come to light about children. And I mean, like, we have already had so many hits on that, like definitely the residential school discoveries happening in Canada, and like we've been seeing this is not like a new issue. So I don't want to say that. I just have a feeling that there's something to do with the UK, some sort of government challenge or some sort of trafficking challenge, when like like a protest, like some sort of activism or speaking out or discovery that happens, um, that really exposes a truth. Um, okay. Oof. Um, so we also have in March, Arakura, which is blossoming. It says you are just getting started, so have patience with yourself and the process and do not give up. And this does feel also about the movement of feminine energy. So if you're someone who had those, intense urgency or challenges, or you were like on the go a ton in January and February is your calm down time, then March is this time for you actually breaking out, coming back out, showing what you've tended to internally, and yeah, blossoming. I really like that. And then we also have teaching, in that teaching role, perhaps starting in that mid late February zone and going on through till March. We have mother and we have vampire, so we will talk about that. And then we also have take time out, so it's very interesting, but it is bear energy as well, and I do want to mention a little bit about that. So if we saw in February there was the femme fatale, right? And the femme fatale has sort of this dark feminine energy that that's sort of why I also said it's chaotic and destructive and maybe is going to rip some stuff apart. And I mean, I love when stuff gets ripped apart. I think it's, I mean, maybe just the fire sign in me. I potentially enjoy chaos or destruction a little bit more than your average bear. But I do think it's usually beneficial. Usually exposing things is for the good, even though it feels tough to face. And so that March zone after disruption of whatever kind shows up in that dark, chaotic, feminine way in your life, in will come this maternal energy. And to me, a bear energy is really, really maternal. Like it's got this feminine, protective, guardian sort of feeling, and is really special. Has a lot to do with March as well because of hibernation and just beginning to warm up to spring. 12:30 30 12:34 on the clock, for anyone who is number focused. Also, if you're number focused, it's a number 9 for brown bear. Take time out. So I do get that this will be a bit of a softer month, so expect a bit of softness in March, but you are still going to be blooming, blossoming, showing up, like starting to, and it's honestly, it's like take time out, like actually get out a little bit. Maybe get out of your comfort zone, but in this, like, it's a soft thing. It does not feel like a harsh energy at all in March. Collectively, I also feel we're going to be doing a good job of taking away that which is not working. So, vampire says the light attribute is it makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. So, whatever is draining your life force in March, that's when you can really tend to things. And that's, isn't that such a maternal energy for yourself, right? If you were to mother yourself, you would probably take away influences that are just not helpful to you in life. And you would likely say, this is just not good. I'm going to step away from this, rather than, well, I'll give it one more shot, or, well, the person apologized, or the job will get better over time once this person leaves, or whatever it is that you're convincing yourself of. If I say that now, and something comes into your mind, like you're convincing yourself of something, maybe address that right this second, because there's no need to wait till March to actually act on when you're not in alignment to your own truth. All right. The shadow attribute for vampire is depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. So maybe make it a mission in March to not complain and see what happens. I would love to see what happens. Yeah, I think a lot of people really do get hung up on suffering, and I mean, obviously, but like a lot of people get hung up on the idea of talking about suffering, and really, like, let's just talk more and more and more about suffering, and then it really does beg the question, like, what are you expecting to be different about your experience if that is the way you're frequently looking at it? um, yeah, how are you going to see things differently if the way you repeat and repeat and repeat is affirming how much things hurt? You're going to be more open. Your mind is going to be more open to looking for areas that you hurt, so you can report back and say, oh, see, I confirmed it. And so really take a tender heart approach in March, and with others as well. I think it's going to be a time where there's exhaustion and, like, almost hostility from that exhaustion, or volatility from that exhaustion. I feel like February we're going to get a little bit of energy back, and then I think there's going to be maybe um, some, I'm exhausted by everything that's been going on. I don't know, how to hold myself up anymore, sort of tired. Like, this is the energy I'm feeling. It's like a mother and then this little child who is, like, just whining because they're tired, or just complaining because they're hungry, or and so it's sort of like seeing past the behavior to say, what is the solution? That's sort of the energy I'm feeling for March on a collective level. Okay. Also, an interesting point on the mother is that she instills guilt in children for becoming independent. So if you have people in your life, or if you are the one attempting to gain further independence, um, carry it without guilt, and do not put guilt on others who are seemingly going a different way than you. Um, this different way could be really beneficial to you later on as a friend. It could be very positive for you to have all of your connections feel independent. And really, codependency is something that, if you're chewing on that internally in your journey, March feels like a time where you might be able to nurture yourself a bit better and step away from that codependency, which is a beautiful thing. We need not be in codependent energies. It's not helpful for anyone involved, usually. Okay, so great. Let's move on to April. I don't have any notes for April, so we're just going to wing it. This is great. This is good stuff. April is my birth month, also. So I love April. It's Aries season. And of course, as an Aries, I need to be chugging water 24/7. Cool me down. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Quiet things, quiet things. Ooh, I have very messy writing when I channel everyone. So, when I'm staring at this book, it's because I'm going, like, why did I think I was even going to be able to read that? And it's very bizarre. Like, if you know me in uh, waking life and, real format and in 3D, you might know that my writing shifts a lot. Like, I don't have perfect writing or anything, but when I write in an organized way, it is definitely readable. Like, it is definitely readable. It's very upsetting that when I channel really important information, my writing is not so sharp because really I'm not quite here fully. I'm not quite present fully. I am sort of in another dimension, another realm at the same time. So, anyways, that's just like a rant. That's kind of annoying. Let me know if you're someone who your handwriting changes because I'm always interested to see how that works for people. Like my songwriting, sorry, I kicked you. My songwriting, again, is really, really different writing than my channel writing. And like when I write a grocery list, it's totally different writing than, I don't know, it all looks so different to me. Okay, going on to April. April, April, April. Okay. This is going to be a good month. These are the cards we're working with. We have Lake, Stillness. It's really peaceful energy. We have Dolphin Spirit. This and that are true. This is also my twin flame card. So if you're on the twin flame journey, expect some contact in March. I already feel it. I mean, April. Well, if that relates to you for March, then I guess take that. But I was thinking April when I was feeling that. We have Scribe and Child Divine for the archetype cards. So I will share those after. Letting go. Definitely letting go of the past. And then Sedna, Infinite Supply. Says you are supplied for today and all of your tomorrows. So this is a time for taking stock of what you have. I also feel like this dolphin spirit coming up. It's really speaking about like a polarity shift. So if there was a great divide or great black and white area of your life, expect more gray to appear in April. So collectively, that also might be happening for everyone. Areas where there were black and white lines, clear opinions, perhaps. I feel more gray will be present in them. Yeah, as of April. I don't know whether that's something to look forward to or not. Like, for a lot of people, that can feel wishy washy, and so it can be not trustworthy. But rest assured that the gray is actually the more stable place that we have to be in. And this lake stillness, I'm really, really attracted to the willows in that. So I would also say this is a good time to turn to your elders and in general be looking towards wisdom keepers or givers, wisdom sharers, people who you feel speak from a wise place. I think that is going to be really important in April. Just referring to them and maybe communicating or connecting to them, supporting them and what they do, perhaps heeding their advice. Um, really, really, really connected to the water here. So In the realm of water, we have emotions, we've got relationships. I do feel like a fairly easy time as far as relationships or your own heart is concerned in April. If you're in that twin flame um, journey, then it could very well be that there's an openness in communication and a spilling out of emotions. I definitely feel like an overflow of emotions as well. So if you're someone who is prone to, like myself, I'm prone to crying or being sensitive, then that might be a really like heightened emotional month, which is nothing to be afraid of. It's just like, oh, there might be more tears, there might be more emotions arising. Um, but don't be scared. Okay, so we're gonna move on to these archetype cards for April because I do find them like the biggest focus here. And this wisdom could also do with preserving knowledge. So the scribe is preserving knowledge and information, and the shadow attribute is altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. So really, really focused from February to April on truthfulness and integrity with word and opinion. And this is a really heightened time of specific beliefs being challenged. Could also very well be about creating a memoir or, I guess, preserving your memories. It could be about going through even old photos, and that's visual information, right? Old photos or videos, or could be about writing more. Could seriously just be about getting your words on paper. And I do feel that there is someone who's looking to start a memoir or a book of some kind. And so this is a really, really, really prime time for you to be working on that. There's a way that you can just carve out space to get away and work on whatever this thing is. It might not really, it might not only have to do with words, but if it does have to do with words, that's also a time to be reaching out for mentorship and support. Hmm. Okay, and then child divine. Like that was for something as it relates to my life. So sorry, not something I'm holding out on you guys with collectively. So this divine child archetype, really, it's quite a special one. So it says innocence, purity, and redemption. It suggests a special connection with the divine, and the shadow attribute is an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. If you are someone who does get that feeling frequently of I was like so open or over vulnerable, or you know, I didn't protect myself, or there's negative energy all around me. I don't understand why. um, or anything, yeah, anything kind of relating to that. This is a really good month to deal with reclaiming your own innocence, purity, and your own connection with divine, whatever that looks like, so that you can defend yourself and protect yourself. This is really like a must. That spiritual connection or maybe a renewed sense of faith could come in for people in April. And if you're not protecting yourself and not protecting that connection, then it may feel easy for other people to take advantage of you. And it really disconnects you from that sense of divinity, right? Because if people are taking advantage of you, you can get into that feeling of there isn't anything higher than me protecting me or out there because of hurt. So yeah, sorry, a little dark there. But in April, we're really all about preserving that knowledge, really like taking stock of what's there and letting go of that which is not necessary, because that letting go card really is still in there. And letting go of resentments, self judgments, fear fear around speech. That's a really big one coming up for people. Let go of fear around speech. Okay, May. There is so much stuff happening in May. I can't read half of it. All right. Talk, talk, talk. So, I do feel like May is all about getting out into nature. So, if you're able to do that, that's a good thing to do in May. We've got Siege, quiet time. So, that could be definitely why I was thinking we've got to get out into nature in May. I definitely will be planning for some sort of camping in May. I'll probably be doing some ambulance van living. Uh, as long as I'm not pet sitting, that's where I'll be, is out somewhere. It says take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate, and contemplate. So meditating really key, but also just being mindful. So whether or not you're meditating on a strict basis or not, finding time where you can be in that clear flow state and you can be in the zone. You can just feel like how you'd feel after you meditate. When you can just get to that feeling, spending more time in that feeling is really, really beneficial. And doing whatever you can that brings you to that. Okay, we've got ceremony, which is invocation. Definitely creating an altar space or creating a spiritual space or doing a ritual or ceremony, especially connected to nature, I think is really going to be especially potent or powerful in May. There's also a snake. I'm just getting a really strong signal to say beware of any snakes or people you cannot trust in May. Um, really use your discernment in May. Really important. Okay, that's funny. Mouse spirit, tend to the small things. So use your discernment. Be sharp. Be aware. Look at the little details. Don't overlook stuff. Just don't overlook stuff in May. Look at it. Look at it in May. Meditate. Be with it. That's what it feels like for May. Okay. Then we also have priest and God. So, hi, heightened spiritual connection time. Really, really. It says benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. So, where do you find this? Like, where do you find this feeling of connection to this idea that there is an eternal force within ourselves and within others, all others? Where do you have that feeling? Is it in church? Is it when you're in nature? Is it both of them? Is it when you listen to someone speak? There's priest as well, which says it facilitates spiritual commitments and serves as a channel of spiritual energy. So the letting go that you did in April is clearly going to pay off in May, right? Like you need that rest, release, reset. Everything needs to be let go of. And then we have past, present, and future. So, yeah, really getting into the present. Get into the present and getting into presence. The presence of, omnipotence, that which is outside of ourselves, spirit, source, God, Krishna, blah, 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 blah. Who else? Who else? I would love to know who else people use here as a way to connect, or what else people use as a way to connect, because we are all talking about the same beautiful light thing that we can't quite describe because it doesn't really deserve words. Or, maybe it deserves words. I don't know. It's maybe a weird way to say it. But another thing that I did see coming through for May um, is this like inner child mediumship kind of. Um, I do feel that's going to be coming up as well, though, in June. But I do feel like opening the spiritual gifts is going to be coming up in May. That for sure is going to happen. So there's this neutralizing kind of feeling in April of action, and then May we're in this receiving mode. We get this divine connection, and as long as we spend some more time in that, maybe more time in nature for sure for everyone, but also more time with the intention of connecting to spirit. Um, yeah, the more that you're going to have access to. So it really feels like, a portally kind of opening time of things in May. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely fears of conviction keep coming up. So that I do feel is like an overarching first half of the year thing, where if you have a fear of conviction, it's really going to be like bothering you and itching at you and maybe begging to be dealt with. So having spiritual support on your side is one of these things that can help you feel so much stronger and more supported in life. And if you're someone who's like, yeah, like I know I'm supported, but you just want that more clarity on the specifics or reaffirming where you're meant to channel your own energy, then working with someone who you respect is something that could be of great value. So, if that's me or if that's anyone else, as it relates to opening you up to your spiritual team, your supports, or your path, or anything, your own healing, so that you can become that channel, then do that work. Right, do that work in April. Well, I mean, do the work whenever you're called, but April leading into May is this sort of bridge to a heightened spiritual connection. It's interesting how a lot of these comments really end up becoming about the individual when I'm reading collective energy, because it feels like this is relating to a lot of people. But again, it's the people who are going to be watching this who need the messages. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you. I don't know if this was like the wisest idea for me to just sit here until this is done, but I'm in it. We're committed now. It's happening. Okay, let's move on to June. There's so many notes for June. What do I see? Okay, ancestors again. So I do feel the mediumship thing is probably going to be more clear for people in June. Again, this is just talking about general, like what's going to kind of be present and opening up. I do feel ancestry stuff is going to be so key. I also feel mediumship. And mediumship is a challenging one because it challenges a lot of lines of belief. Like there's a lot of things when I look at that with my logical brain, the fact that I even do mediumship work, I'm like, nothing really made sense of that. Nothing really informed why that made sense in my brain. It was like an automatic thing that happened. I'll talk. You know what? I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna talk more about mediumship soon to people. I think it's about time. It's a challenging one to talk about though, because people have a lot of beliefs on it. Mediumship, and it's not a party trick. It's not something to be used like frivolously, and those are some of the challenges I have with mediumship in general. So we'll talk more about connecting to those who have passed on another time. Right now, we're focusing on the year ahead. Okay, so these cards. Doop, 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 doop. I'm trying to see where I. Okay. I was trying to see where I got all that like inner child ancestor mediumship stuff because I was writing it kind of in between June and July. So here we are, starting in July. It's all about integrating uh, these things you've opened up to. So whenever you're on a spiritual journey and you have that big, like wide open awakening kind of zone, right after that, you've really got to focus on reflecting a little bit, like stepping back from, because it can almost, when you get that, like downloads or clarity about what's next, it can definitely come in as an ego shift for people to be like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I know what I need to do next, or yeah, whatever our ego comes in to be helpful, right? To put us like on a track where we want to act on our divine inspirations. But then we can get a little bit spacey. And the challenge is once you've got these ideas and once you've got these downloads, you've got to do something with it. You've got to do something about these feelings, these knowings, these truths, these goals and missions that you're given. And so, in order to do that, you're going to have to reflect on all that you've learned because it's got to land in your body better. And that's the integration piece. So, you reflect, you integrate, and then you celebrate the fact that that even happened. And then you can start taking action on things. Um, yeah, yeah. We can talk more about all this kind of stuff another time. I really am getting off track because I am so excited by some of these concepts we're all going to be, facing. But in July, collective energy, we've got iceberg, submerged. Uh, hmm, hmm. I didn't get that when I first did this reading, but I just got this like flash of like, yeah, an actual submerged, like some sort of older ship or something plane. that's going to bring some sort of truth to the surface. That's neat. Hmm. I'm feeling two areas of the world too, so it could be that there's some sort of connection between two areas, like across an ocean, but two things being found. Yeah, so either like a submerged like ship or vehicle of transport of some kind that then like the information revealed uh is something that like brings some information, some truth to the surface, which is really funny because like bringing up to the surface and the fact that we saw all those whales and dolphins earlier. um could also though be something that's like cross oceans, something that is like cross oceans getting revealed. I know that sounds so vague. Anyway, owl spirit, you can see clearly now. Okay, well there you go. So seeing clearly and actually being able to see, um, yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm gonna hang on to this. I do feel there is something there about something under the ocean revealing a connection or some sort of truth. Okay, we also have liberator, teacher, and wounded child. These are archetype cards for July. Teacher and liberator. I really like liberator. It says freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. The shadow attribute is imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate and ignoring legitimate constraints. So I am feeling there will be political upheaval in at least two different countries across oceans. So separated by an ocean, these two countries. I feel that there's going to be some kind of revolt that happens in March, starts in March, or is triggered in March, that reaches some kind of peak in July. I feel like at the same time, there's going to be this potent, like, the world's becoming a bit more open again. I want to say normal. I don't need to do that for open. Normal is the quotation mark. I feel there's going to be more volunteerism, like I said, June, July. I do feel like altruism and doing things for the good of humans and the good of the world and the earth is going to come in. Sort of like this community rebuilding kind of vibe. We also have psychic development and home. And love wise, there may be a lot of soulmate energy in July. I really do feel you're going to have some close friends or a new romantic relationship that really feels really closely connected to you. That swan energy and this like beautiful, like heart open energy comes through for that psychic development card. And again, right, we're talking about developing your psychic senses and that this is something very well that is going to be coming in, yeah, starting in that April, May, like the May meditation opening up in June. Yeah, it really does feel like May to July is an opportune time to do really, deepen your spiritual work. And perhaps where spiritual ideas will be more present in the mainstream as well. Okay, so under teacher, the shadow attribute is manipulating or abusing students or teaching negative traits or destructive skills, and the light attribute is ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. I'm really drawn to the image though in this card because it's like this teacher is opening up the world and all these little worlds are coming out of it. So I do see lots of people like finding their people, or what would people say? Like finding their tribe, finding your community is something I would prefer to say. um, Finding your people. It could be that you already have people and that you're adding more people. So don't think it's like so limited. You're only finding your one group or something. But I do feel like you're going to line up more with group. And in general, like I said, that community focus is coming back. So, I mean, that makes sense why the community piece comes up. And even look at this. So cute, that image, like wrapped in a blanket, arms around. It's like a mother wrapped arms around two little kids. And so the light attribute is awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, and it opens the learning path of forgiveness. So with the world opening back up again, there will also need to be lots of forgiveness in getting to know and understand people perhaps there have been distance from, or getting to know new situations and ways of operating. I do feel that is going to come in sometime in July. So, you know, fingers crossed, I guess, depending on how you feel about that. And the wounded child, the shadow attribute is blaming all the dysfunctional relationships that they have on their childhood wounds and resisting moving on through forgiveness. So, yeah, forgiveness being a really, really key part to through getting through July with peace. Just scribing down some of these general themes so I can help everyone with content, and hopefully it relates at the time, and then we'll all connect on that and be like, oh, it's so cool. I don't know. Maybe that's our community connecting. Yeah, all those things came true. That's so fun. All right, I'm gonna take a pause and actually really drink some of this water. I'm gonna have like a whole other glass of this. Okay, so as we finish July, we're getting into that like forgiveness place where we need to be with people. And then we're also like overextending ourselves a little bit. So July, just keep an eye on if you're giving a little bit more than what you actually have to give, because I do feel in August there's going to be this collective pullback kind of retreat. And I wrote down in my book cave time, which to me means like kind of another spiritual awakening time, but a little bit out of being tired, like being slammed to the ground a little bit. Not in like a super destructive way, but just in that kind of way where you got to sit still. Yeah, island solitude. So we're finding more solitude in August. Life is speeding up. So again, I feel like this is antelope spirit. This is maybe the energy that we were coming from, but if you're not careful, that might just consume all of your August, and you might just be like, whoa, what even happened? The need for solitude and alone time in August is high because of our being out in the world and our big spiritual awakening kind of collectively that's going to happen, and those big triggers. And, just as the whole year has gone on, right? At some point, you've got to slow down, you've got to really take it in. And so to me, this is like the reflect time. So you're sort of integrating, and here we're sort of reflecting. And I think we're going to be tapping into our own healing energy. So that's the reason also for wanting to be alone, is that you can like self heal and be on your own, and, or, with very close people to you, but in more of an isolated environment, it feels like. Samaritan, we have the light attribute, which is refining your capacity to help those that you would prefer to ignore. And the shadow attribute is exacting appreciation and recognition for the help that you offer. So maybe that you are giving help to either people in your life that you thought perhaps you wouldn't, or to situations which never before called your attention, but suddenly are almost like on your doorstep. Maybe not literally, but maybe literally. Maybe there's like a charitable need like on your doorstep. But um, really important that when we get into this June and July place of like giving and giving back, um, not to feel as though you've overgiven, because then what we end up feeling is some sort of resentment, or like it took too much out of us, or it was the problem, when really it's our own boundaries that are the problem or the challenge. So you don't need to have any recognition for true good deeds. You're not going to like need that in your heart. And so if you start getting into that zone of feeling that, you're owed something because of your innate goodness, um, I mean, it's important to step back from that ego and step back maybe from situations where you do have very high expectations of receiving. Then we have angel. So this is like being a good Samaritan, or being like an angel citizen, or a good human. It could also be that there's investments getting made. So if anyone's looking for like an angel investor, that could very well be something that gets secured in August. So really interesting. And this also is about helping those in need. So altruism hitting a peak, perhaps, yeah, that giving back is still possible. And then you reach solitude, or maybe it's like you get enough solitude so you can give back. I do feel like a lot of what this will be is about healing patterns. We also have creativity and leap of faith. So this is like a totally other message for August, but feels like August, like end of August, is when people could be really getting a flame lit to create or to put out a project that is dear to them and really feels very creatively attached. So this is for the artists, for the writers. Maybe the writers are, going through phases, multiple phases in the year where they pick up speed. And there is also something coming in about end of August and a romantic connection and some sort of leap of faith. So whether you're in one or not, it could be about taking a leap forward with that person, whatever that looks like at that time. Very exciting. It's very exciting energy in August for, it being kind of hermity as well. There's a lot of excitement. So expect to feel a lot of feelings in August. I think expect to feel like you don't want to deal with anyone, but that also you have to be around people a lot, or expect to feel like, um, things are going nowhere, and then also things are like way too fast at the same time. Expect to feel in that zone of like duality, and do your best to just create and generate stuff and just be with those feelings and without judgment for sure. Okay, September. Collaboration, teamwork, self-reliance, and discipline. Withdrawing. Okay, all right, cool. Let's see what happens. So, September, spring equinox or rebirth. So, cave time and then springtime. So, imagine August is like a little winter in the middle of, but like an intense winter. Like it all tried to fit into 1 month winter. That's kind of the vibe. It's like you're gonna want to like hibernate and be alone and do your thing, but also so much stuff has to get done. And also like you're doing a good job. There's a lot of things happening, but you also have to stay still. And it's just gonna be really funny feeling, I think. And September is gonna be that springtime. So sometimes you in the fall, I don't know if you get this way, but I get this way because we always went to school in the fall. We always went to school in September. You kind of get excited and have like a new focus, and it's almost like a new start. Like you're going to get that back to school September. That's what it's going to feel like this year. Back to school time. And then we have giraffe spirit, which is see the big picture. And in see the big picture, this is really feeling also like adjusting your expectations, adjusting your priorities, adjusting timelines. Definitely feels like good, focused, disciplined, looking at facts. Feels like a very masculine energy. If we switched into that feminine energy in February, the peak of the masculine energy taking the focus would be here in September. That's what it feels like to me. Um, yeah, it's interesting how we kind of go in cycles like that. Masculine and feminine energy are always present for us, so it's not saying that, but yeah, it really feels like that focused, linear, active energy. And also healing energy. So perhaps healing our root, perhaps healing our sense of foundation and security. Maybe a good time for a new home, new living situation, or a stable living situation. Um, I should probably note that down for myself. I'm currently so transient that maybe I should look at September. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just be a steady for the time thing. But anyway, um, really, really feeling connected to root energy and really feeling connected also to uh, mm, birthing new projects. So it's like once they've been in development or once the ideas have been percolating or once foundations have been set and built, like by September, big changes and big production can happen. Big production. It's funny. It sounds like I'm like some factory owner in the 50s. Big production coming in. All right, Maeve, cycles and rhythms. Honor the cycles of your body, energy levels, and emotions. So if you're feeling that sting from August of kind of, ooh, I pushed myself a little bit too hard, definitely come September, it'll be that time to like bring it back. And um, collectively, just to like widen the scope here a bit, because I did feel really like volunteerism, activism, altruism, that's going to be our peak focus and community rebuilding, that June, July zone. Again, like I said, August is going to be a little like scattered, maybe lots going on. September, this refocus and repressure, I do feel like collectively we're going to be um, at ease a little bit. It's going to be like, okay, we can kind of relax. There's a little less chaos. There's a little less like darkness. It's almost um like a quieter news month is what it feels like in September. Doesn't feel like that way a lot. Feels like there's always something, intense going on, but in reality there are months which are a little bit less intense than others, and this one feels like a little bit less intense. The archetype cards that we have are mediator, which gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life and respect for both sides of an argument. So it does feel like a leveling out time, and this forgiveness that happened in August may be related to how things have been going on a collective level. It might have to do with that incident in February, March that might come out. Um, but it does feel like this forgiveness work is like taking action in September, is actually being applied in September, and perhaps things are reconnecting that were severed. Um, Again, respect for both sides of an argument being, you can see where that might lead people to. And the shadow attribute of the mediator is negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. So it is key in September still to be using your discernment to say what is actual reality here and what is seemingly stable. Definitely get away from the seemingly stable and walk towards what is true for you. So don't go towards something just because of the promise of stability or security. Um, that's coming through for whoever needs it. We also have dilettante and hero or heroine. So the hero and heroine card, the light attribute is passion for a journey of personal empowerment. So really, really putting a focus on yourself lifting up in September. This is going to be key. Again, it's back to school and you're really thinking about your own journey ahead, your own school year. You're the one who does your own homework, right? So you might be alongside other people, but it really is about your own personal journey and personal empowerment. And the dilettante is the one that I really did want to share here. It's okay, the shadow attribute is a pretension, so pretending to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. So pretending as though you have much deeper knowledge than you actually possess, or potentially some leaders pretending that, or some figures, some prominent figures pretending they have much deeper knowledge than they actually possess. And really use September for a time to press your own agenda forward. So long as it is with kindness, which I mean, if you're watching this channel, I'm quite certain that you're behaving in a way which is kind, or attempting to, and try not to let the surface level things bother you. So be aware that you may see deeper than other people in that time. Like they just might not be able to see to the depth that you are in September. Okay, October. Do I have any notes? Local focus and food chain. Those are my notes. Like Kate, wherever you were. Well, maybe we'll figure it out here as well. Local focus and food chain. Okay, you know what? I didn't remember this, but as I read that, it feels so clear that in October there are going to be some transportation and food chain issues, like some of the things that are catching up. I do feel like a lot of prices for food are going to rise this year, beyond what they already are, which is upsetting. So definitely eat local as soon as you can and try to support these farmers, having their own livelihood, and do your best to reduce some of those transportation costs where possible, because that is what adds up and also takes away quality, but that's a story for Nourish Nomad to cover. But anyway, obviously, you can eat local anytime, but I'm definitely feeling it's going to be like a large focus coming in for October, and supply chain issues or food chain issues, and knowing where you stand in your own food chain, like in your own circles, and where is the power around you, and are you challenging yourself also in October. Okay, autumnal equinox, so release, but also perfect time for fall walks. And also I'm feeling there is a connection to divinity, which sort of resurfaces again in October. If we've been feeling like, oh man, I really miss that time in June and July or May when I was meditating and connecting with nature and I was talking with God or talking with angels or goddesses or whoever. I feel like there's going to be some like reminiscent energy of that in October. You're going to have like glimpses of it and feel like that connection in that warm way again. Because I think August, September might kind of take you off track a little bit, might kind of like, yeah, feel like it sort of gets away from things from a spiritual perspective, anyway. Then we also have Ant Spirit number one, time to collaborate. And at the same time, so we have this time to collaborate, and then we have this hermit card. So I do feel September, October, we are going to be, so it's like August, we really have to pull back our energy and be a bit more solitary. September, October, we just have to be really discerning. It's got to be like we're out, but we're also in the cave. We're out of it. We're talking to people. We're down at the fire circle. We're sharing gossip and information. We're celebrating with people, but we're not there for too long. You dip in and out of the party, and then you go spend some time in the cave, and you make sure you're keeping your head screwed on straight and focusing on what you want to do in this lifetime. So the hermit seeks solitude to focus intently on inner life, and it serves personal creativity. So this is what's important: is collaborating, helping those people who need help, and also making sure that you have your own creative and inner life tended to. You are a much better role model, community person, support for anyone when you take care of your own inner life and when you nourish and indulge in it. It is not selfish, it is supportive to all those around you. Okay, damsel. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. So I do actually see distance coming up for couples or for potentially single people um, in order to address codependency in October. That's what I do feel. In order to address codependency, this is going to be happening. Yeah, yeah. I also feel like, so it says seduction by romantic illusion, and this is what I mean about having discernment and having clarity on what you're seeing. So it may be that October is one of these times where it's like really you're very lined up. Like all of your choices are specific, they make sense, and they speak to your values. Like just like a really pointed time of saying what you mean, practicing what you preach. It's like integrity for October. November feels like a time of great abundance. So it is no surprise to me that discipline in the way of your truth and being in integrity and not relying on others and separating codependency is then going to bring you great riches and reward in November. So, really great work. If you can stay aligned with this energy, it's definitely going to serve you well. And yeah, we have a struggle like swimming upstream. I do think October is going to be hard work. I will say that. I do think October is going to be hard work. I think you're going to have to do a lot in order to see what you want through and to see what you want will happen. But you're protected for it. You are supported for it. You won't have any issue um, getting all of this done and the way you want it to feel. Okay. I also feel yep. I feel like mentorship in November. So this is moving into November. We're talking about abundance. We've got the mentor and the monk and the nun card. So we're talking about devoting yourself to your own cause. That's like the mid-October to mid-late November theme. And then it feels like come December, we're going to actually be in a place where we are aware of ourselves and happy for where we've landed. And collectively, we've actually found more harmony. So November is a time of uplift collectively. Um, Promise is what I feel in November. And delegation. So I do think it's going to be key that uh, you tell people what you need and that you seek out the right support. So could be that you're delegating work. within, especially if you're a small business owner, it could be that you're delegating tasks. Could be that you're also asking community for things that you just don't need to take on yourself. Could be that you're also finding ways that multiple people can delegate and give back. Might really need to focus on getting outside in November. I don't feel like it's a time to stay inside and to lock yourself in. November this year feels really, really like you got to make sure you're going to be present. So maybe even finding some sort of outdoor activities that for November, that's when a lot of my friends tend to just like not go outside, and I tend to disagree with that concept. I think we should try to go outside as much as possible. I don't get outside nearly as much as I'd like to in the winter, um, but I still make sure that I commit to 30 minutes a day at very, very minimum. And it feels like that focus in November is going to be key. Is still staying outside for whatever reason. That's just going to be a focus for people. Um, Definitely collaboration, working with others, respecting others' opinions. That teamwork vibe is going to be key still in November, but it's starting in October. And there's going to be a lot coming in abundantly in November, so it's also not a time to worry too much about great risks in investment. It feels like a really fertile and profitable time. Yeah, the decisions that you make in that time feels like they're going to work out well. Collectively, perhaps stabilizing or opening markets. Perhaps there's going to be a housing dip that allows for some more expansion. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Abundance definitely is going to be like, okay, secure, things are working. So for all those who watch this channel, you're likely in a similar energy, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. November feels really good to me. March and November are like peak times in my year this year. It feels like, okay, more water than December. It's a long one. I like it, but I'm interested to see whether you like it. If you're still here on this video, just shoot me a little comment and let me know you support me, because I'm so glad that you are hanging out and hearing all about this year with me. Kind of like a casual video. I'm gonna do some pick a cards and some other fun ones this week. I have all my cards out here. I'm really excited to do more. So anyway, going into December. So we have Know Your Worth, Skunk Spirit, and Scarab Beetle Spirit. Magic works through you. Okay, we also have the Advocate and the Rebel. I do feel really, really creatively charged. Okay, Sarasvati, the arts. So there we go, creatively charged. It says express yourself through creative activities. It's like so perfect. This December energy feels really, really creative. Like really inspired, like logic isn't going to be as useful. You're just going to feel like go, 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 or like you're going to have an idea and it's just going to happen. You're going to be like, I feel like making a cake. And the next day you're going to be making a cake. Or you're going to, want to put music out in the world. And then suddenly you're going to meet these right people who are like, I want to hear that. And it'll just be something like really magical. Very magical, this energy in December, which is so nice. I don't think we've had a magical feeling December for a number of years, and we're so due for one. So I'm excited for this. Also, we have honoring your energy. So, yeah, so anything that you stepped up with in that November is kind of going to feel like that July energy of like, woo, expansion, except it's going to be for abundance and material success as well, but also recognition and support and connection. And so in December, again, we're going to have to cave up a little bit, work on our art projects, do something that feels inspired. And then the advocate it says, inspires you to put compassion into action. So you are going to be thinking about taking action, and there may definitely be a lot of activism related art. So I'm really excited for that as well to be the case, because the rebel, I really do feel like it's like this rebel artist vibe. So it could be like street art. It could be um, poetry that is politically motivated, politically charged. Could be videos or songs that are about, global issues or compassion or anything. The rebel challenges authority to effect social change and rejects spiritual systems that do not serve their inner needs. So, really, a cool time for critical analysis, reflection, um, looking at those things that make you angry, uh, collective and also, local or individual scale, looking at those things that make you angry and go, what can I do about that? What can I do to actually create some action and generate some compassion about this issue, about this concern? So, a really grounded sense of activism, whereas the altruism, volunteerism, and community building in June and July feels more about connecting, reconnecting, reuniting communities potentially. Okay, so that is like a breakdown. It's actually really brief when you think about it, really representing each month and trying to be talking on collective energy where possible. Really interested to see what happens this year in 2022 and whether these energies match over time. Feel free to check back to this video and see whether it relates to you. Again, I'm going to try and remember to chapterize this video so that you can have each month accounted for. And let me know if it resonates. And of course, I just love when anyone shares out videos or my work or anything like that, or says, hey, it's so nice to work online and feel like my community is here backing backing me up, but also backing up their work and showing up for themselves. Really inspiring both ways. When I get comments, I know people are here for themselves as well. So enjoy the rest of your day wherever you're at. And like and subscribe. If you're here in the video, you definitely should make sure you like and subscribe, and I will chat to you soon. Okay, take care.